Okay, we are live.
All right, awesome.
Okay, so everybody from Hollywood to politics to Eurasia to Siberia, we got in Hyperborea, if you're tuning in. We have Flat Earth Dave here. David Weiss is an explorer, just like we all are. And I think that between elections and between many other things that had us go, wait, hold on, that we began to question for ourselves. And the beauty is, as long as we had a good browser, that we weren't being shadow banned or something else while we did our discoveries, we went down our own rabbit holes. And in so doing, the light leads the way to the truth, and the truth is always the truth everywhere. And there's no such place as far away. And now we really know there's no such place as far away.
Wait, I'm coming.
Up.
I'm broadcasting from the Lagrange point, halfway between the sun and the moon and the earth. So I'm floating perfectly in between the gravities of both. Can't you see?
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's perfect. It's a lovely painting, and Bob Ross would be very, very impressed. And I'm sure that Melissa McCarthy and her husband are really happy. So just so you guys remember again, when this, I'm going to say it, pandemic happened, I could put the L in there, that we were on tour. We were out in Vegas, say we were with Shania, some other people. We got shut down like everybody else, and we began to go, what? This is like, reminds me of something from the past, like from another thing that happened in the 40s and the 30s. So if we don't remember the cycles and the patterns, while the reset takes our minds away and tells us a programmed channeled vision of what they would like, then if you're not thinking on your own, you need to turn it off and come. YouTube is not the enemy. It is actually like a tool, like a Cutco knife. It can slice a tomato so thin you can read a newspaper through it, or you can commit homicide. It's your choice. So instead of trying to make sure that your TikTok videos go viral, you might want to actually do some actual research about where we're located and do some checking. David Weiss, please tell us your human story and a little bit about, that you're just a regular guy like me. I wrote a book about my journey from spirituality, from organized dogmatic religion all the way to where I am now. We each began in our smaller micro and are on our own path. Tell us at the beginning of yours, and just a little bit, whatever that you want, go.
So the beginning of my path, I outswam 800 million other swimmers to fertilize my mother's egg. Oh, not that far?
No.
I didn't know how far back you wanted me to go.
No,
I really stole that from Jeffrey Doherty, just if anyone is noticing my plagiarism. 6-7 years ago, if you told me that I would quit my successful career, where I was working in corporate America, and I left and I started my own company, and I was making more money than I ever thought I could make, had free time, and then I walked away from it all. Why'd I do that? And I did that because I listened to the universe. I listened to what my soul was telling me, and I'm here spreading this message of how to regain our freedom. And basically, we'll get into it, but there's two things that you need to do. First, you have to get your mind out of the prison, which is the ball spinning out of control on an infinite speck where you evolve from pond scum. That's complete and total nonsense, and that devalues who you are. And then the other thing is, we have to stop playing with their monopoly money, period. So that's why I'm here. Once you discover that the earth is not just as they described, everything changes.
You know what I find most interesting, and again, I have done my research 1,000 miles an hour, 66.6 thousand miles per hour, 500,000 miles per hour, and 1.23 million miles per hour to the left, down into nowhere land. I do know exactly what's not happening. I'm with you on like that. We're going to bring people up to hopefully like in in a short, brief Cliff Notes version, if you will, to possibly understand quickly, because there are segments in this of ponderance that I have, that notions that I've had since the information rang that bell for me. And I think this is, Dave, do you agree this is kind of like when you feel like you're built for this time, like you're a star seed? You know what I mean? Just the whole idea of like that you're that somehow the whole trajectory and the arc of your life in this incarnation, say so far, that it built you for this time.
So I'm not anybody special. I'm just, let me think of the way to say it is, I just became aware of who I am. We are all in the same exact situation, exactly, no matter what. And once you become aware of what this place is and the power of your mind, everything changes, right? I'm nobody.
Right.
I'm nobody. I'm everybody. There's no difference. So,
right. Because in the heliocentric model, really the thing that got distorted, swindled, and extorted was that humankind, in this chaos of the honeycomb hurling itself, hauling ass through space, was neglected the information on purpose, that the downward charge and the fact that at 3 foot, 100 volts, 6, and so on and so forth, the Tartarian Empire was taking advantage of that and giving everybody free energy. And so sure. The whole aspect of the powerful cathode anode battery system that we're in, that we have been, that we've forgotten to take advantage of because we got convinced and then people died and then they didn't tell us. I feel like we're coming back. Yeah, thank you. That's the thing. So we can take advantage on purpose, deliberating your thoughts using this great place that we are, that was made for us. You go wherever you want.
No, I get it. I don't know how up to speed all of your audience is. Do they know that we don't live on a spin ball? They're already there.
There's going to be some, of course, that are the silent. They're like the flower at a prom dance. They're not going to engage because either fear of confrontation, kind of like wearing a mask. It's kind of like if I go into the store and I keep the mask on, then nobody will bother me. It's kind of like you don't understand frog coming to a boil. You got to be courageous in these times. Yeah,
I go into the store. I'm the only one without a mask, and nobody bothers me.
Yeah, me either. Because
my favorite line, which I've only used once, is the reason I don't have a shame muzzle on is because it's illegal to carry a loaded firearm with a mask while wearing a mask.
Yeah. I like that one. No, I like that one. And I like the Nuremberg Code. If you're not familiar with it, everybody.
But then people actually have to think. You say Nuremberg Code and their mind short circuit already. They're not able to think, but they can understand I'm carrying a loaded firearm. Don't mess with me.
There used to be that we couldn't go into a bank with a hat, sunglasses,
and now you can.
On.
Now you
it's
required.
Have to.
Yeah, so stupid.
It was go time for bank robbers, and they missed the window.
Yeah, okay. so stupid. Just real quick, and those of you that know, this is just repetitive. If you think flat Earth is stupid, it's because you've been mind controlled. You think this is what we think flat Earth is. You think because Bill Nye said, "Oh, what are we, the only pancake, and everyone else is a sphere?" That's not what any flat earther thinks. This is what people that laugh at flat Earth think flat earthers think. That makes sense? I say that right?
Yeah.
So real quick, the Earth is a pond. It's a giant pond. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, testably, measurably, scientifically, provably flat. And water needs a container. Well, the container is the land that surrounds our pond. The land that surrounds a lake is the container of that lake, right? The shoreline of the lake is where the land is consistently higher than the resting water, right? So if there's a storm, there's big waves, maybe those waves will go over and leave the lake, right? Because they become higher than the container. Well, Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's the container of our pond. Antarctica is provably not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It's the shore, excuse me. It's the shoreline that surrounds our lake.
Yeah, the ice wall down there is like every other continent on Earth, whether you're in the globe still or if you come flat,
Yeah.
is you can, at some point, you can walk up on it except for Antarctic. Yeah.
Well, people say, you can go to Antarctica. The truth is, yeah, you can on a guided tour. They don't allow you to explore the outer space. And nobody's, that treaty has been in place since 1959, and you can't question it until the year 2041. No treaty has ever lasted the test of time, especially with unclaimed land filled with resources that you don't have to displace any humans. Are you kidding me? And then the story behind it is ridiculous. And Globers will say, oh, show me the ice wall. Well, they're programmed by Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, in my opinion, was entirely put out there to put the idea of an ice wall, right? That's containing the flat Earth. The ice wall is just the shoreline of Antarctica. I'm sure there are areas where it's not a wall where you can probably pull a boat up, but most of it is just where the sun's heat can no longer reach. And there's the shoreline of Antarctica. Is it a wall or is it technically a shoreline cliff? I say it's a shoreline cliff. So I'm trying to get people away from saying the ice wall, because an ice wall sounds like a wall with a top and a wall on the other side and then infinite space. That's not what it is.
More like the cliffs of Dover.
Cliffs of Dover, the cliffs of Antarctica.
They really remind me of the cliffs of Dover, but yet then it goes down. You can still walk up there. I wanted to say that in movies, which is our business, if we look back to Logan's Run, I know that's kind of like Farrah Fawcett and Michael Yorking.
Prediction for our future. Go ahead.
Right. Peter Ustinov was set up in the Capitol. He was surrounded by cats, and the Capitol in DC was surrounded by vines, and they broke out of the dome, and they finally went through the waterway systems and the old ancient tunnels that they were off that was off limits. Of course, we have the Truman Show, which is really on the nose.
Yep.
And we have, what was the other one I was thinking of? Anyways, I'll circle back to that if I remember it all. There's so much, Dave, that I told myself I would try to stay out of the way so you can say some things, because I have so much.
Well, no, you lead the way. There's so much to talk about. And, if you Google flat Earth, you're not going to find anything. You're going to find what Google wants you to know. They're censoring flat Earth. They talked about it in their Senate hearing on how to stop disinformation. And they use flat Earth.
Why would they do that?
Yeah,
Why would they do that?
Yeah, they allow, not that, not making opinions on Bigfoot, but they allow Bigfoot and aliens and Loch Ness Monster and all of this stuff. Anything can go, but you can't talk about flat Earth. You can't talk about.
Oh, I love.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I love that you brought up Bigfoot, because my thing about we'll call it Delta Airlines variants.
Yeah.
I like doing that. And the new boogeyman is here, everybody. Beware. I always go, yeah, everybody be careful in the forest right now, because Bigfoot's son has been rampaging, and you want to keep your children locked up because he's going to get you. And I'm like, you have to have believed in Bigfoot first before you thought he might have any offspring.
Right.
I like that one.
I'm not the Bigfoot person. Sly. And Bigfoot, again, is a weaponized term. I believe that there is something that is probably more advanced than we are, that lives in the woods here, just like in South Carolina. Karen B has done a few shows on it with her experiences. And, if you said, $1 million, does Bigfoot exist or not? I would say, yeah, he does, but not in the folklore that they tell us. It's completely different.
Well, and we know that giants, all the way ranging Absolutely. Up to 240 feet tall, were in North America.
I think way bigger than that, but yes, you can prove it up to 40 feet.
Look at the Tartarian architecture everywhere in every city. And in fact, it is now known by our circle that the very capital in Washington, D.C. was here before Christopher Columbus even stepped foot on North American continent.
Did you see the building below the Capitol building?
Yes. I mean, it's stories deep. And I mean, it's everywhere. Utah is a particular interest. I'm going to drop some directional things for people to go down their own rabbit holes. You guys need to look at your cities. Do a little wandering tour. We're in Lexington, Kentucky. We recently, I said to my manager, I said, not a lot's happening right now. On a rainy day here in Lexington, so we're not out by the pool, I'm like, let's go downtown and look at some buried windows and see if we get access to some of these cathedrals or cathode generating systems down in their basement under a guise of whatever narrative that I want to say, like I'm doing a story on like architecture, and they let us in, and it's phenomenal the amount that were bricked up basements where the rest of the windows underground. Okay, here in Lexington. So
yeah, it's crazy. Everywhere you go, like I was driving down the road last year and I saw this church. I pulled up. There's a moat around the church that's dug out, and there's like 3 stories of windows looking into the dirt, essentially. And below this, and the building, a big tower and two towers and a dome or something, whatever, or 2, maybe it's 2 and 2 towers and domes.
Yeah.
Just all of those structures at the top. Like, what did they make that for? And it was for energy harvesting.
There's so much I could say. I'm going to put in 2 provocative imageries here. The Statue of Liberty, that statue is put on a pedestal that was very ancient. It was a star fort. It had water around it. It resonated into the water, used it as a capacitor, and sent that signal to the tops of the tallest buildings, antennae that were built on purpose to give free power to all of New York City way back in the day. We also have flying ships, or what would be hijacked the Hindenburg, which they made hydrogen bad. And they used to hook up to the top of the Empire State Building, refuel and keep on going. They could go for like for forever. All of that is true.
So they were refueling up there. They were refueling energy. That makes sense. Wow.
Yes. They were sending it up.
Yeah. I mean, people think that we're at the peak of civilization, that we're the smartest anyone's ever been.
No.
We are in the middle of the movie Idiocracy.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Dave, do you think that we've ever been, because...
To the moon? Don't say to the moon.
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, I could set you up like as if I'm, being disingenuous, but I don't know if there's that much time for that. I could do some folly, but I think just getting to it. Do you think that in the reset histories, the virus is happening every 100-ish years going back, where that masks were mandated, then the humankind was subjugated, and then the orphan trains, and then all of a sudden the mud flood, and then all this in the last time? Do you think that's a lot? Do you think that this time, because of the internet communication system, that this will be the most widespread chance or success or potential in getting out the message before they would pull the last lever? How do you like that question?
Well, that's a great question. And yes, I believe that we do have a chance this time. And that's why I've dedicated my life to spending this message. Like, Dave, why the hell are you talking about flat Earth when all this other stuff's going on? Because it's all connected. You can't fight tyranny if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, and you can't fight it if we remain using their monopoly money. In the game Monopoly, it says if the bank runs out of money, just get some paper and write some more numbers on it, and you keep playing. That's where we are right now.
They love to mock us, don't they?
And they don't need our money. You notice that the monopoly money is the same color as our money, the 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100. They all have a tint to it.
Was not cognitively aware of that.
It matches the colors on the monopoly board. They're always telling us. So again, if you think cryptocurrency is bad, it's because you're thinking of centralized cryptocurrency. You're thinking of the cryptocurrency that has been corrupted already, but there's privacy cryptocurrencies. Crypto is like Hex, crypto like Pirate Chain, which is, I'm actually wearing a Pirate Chain shirt. And
love it.
And what's the other one?
I'm wearing a American thing. It's just nation, whatever. We just came out of a beautiful election. So,
right. And just let me finish on the cryptocurrency.
Go.
Playing on their monopoly board, we lose. They control us with their money. They don't need money. They need money to control us. If we all left tonight and started using crypto, it's over. They've lost total control over us. So. Right. Most people listening, and even in the truth community, don't know how about crypto. They only heard what Bitcoin is. They've read some stories. They know that Elon Musk makes a tweet and the market crashes or takes off or whatever. That's all controlled opposition information. Take the time, learn about cryptocurrency, and a cheap place, and I keep telling him he's underpriced, is Jeranism, JERANISM.com.
Nice.
Sign up for his Friday night crypto class. I think it's $10 a month or something like that.
Nice.
Okay. Or maybe it's just, I think it's $10. I think you just become a $10 patron and just dedicate that 1 or 2 hours a week, whatever it is, to start learning. You may start listening and going, oh man, this is over my head. And that's what I did when I first learned about crypto. But now, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I know enough to teach other people. And it's life-changing. We are at an opportunity right here, right now. It's so early in the crypto game that that someone could invest $100 and in 5 years, it could be $1 million, likely. Okay.
Right.
So that's my advice. Don't take my financial advice. Don't put any money in crypto. Don't do.
No, we've got the
learn about it
disclaimer
and
that
figure it
we're
out
bringing.
yourself.
Right. Well, we're gonna set up provocative, actual research things that it's like the belief is the enemy of knowing. It's like when you think that somebody will say, "Well, David, what do you believe?" And I'll go, "I no longer believe. Belief means I'm still not convinced, and I need your opinion or your validation or your showing up." There are certain things that are already ringing a bell for me. I already know them, and I already have the proof back in the pudding from morning to night. I know how thoughts become things now. That's why you and I, brother, are already sitting right here with each other and bringing it forward. Now, with cryptocurrencies, everybody remember, and remember everything else, if it's being telegraphed with their huge megaphone all at the same time in every country as bad, now you know what it really is. It's good. Like everything that they blamed on Trump was a projection in the classic Saul Alinsky style for Barack and Hillary. That if you wanted to know what Hillary was really doing, just look what they were blaming Trump for, and then you had your answer. So it goes down the line with every swindled narrative from the MSM is going to be, you have your real answer if you just reverse it.
Right.
And as it is with cryptocurrencies. Yeah.
They're going to come out with a centralized crypto to get rid of cash, and that's bad. If we sign on to their centralized crypto, we are in a worse position than we are now. Okay.
Right.
We need to get on our privacy cryptos. Just look into that. Jeranism, JERANISM. Check it out.
Right.
David, do you know what my middle name is?
I don't.
I'll give you one guess.
Todd. Is it really?
Yes.
David Todd. See, and I don't know this, and I don't know if you want it out there, but just in general, when were you born?
1963, okay? Yeah.
What?
63.
63. What month and day?
July.
December 8th.
All right, there we go. So good.
Okay. But come on.
That's pretty
come
good.
on. And how about this? It does go resonant, everybody. If you don't know, look up I'm in the music industry, okay? I have 620 songs published worldwide. They're like my little babies. They make money while I sleep. I'm not suffering, okay? I was there with Fleetwood Mac, Robert Palmer. I toured with the Dead. I know that you like Fish. I was there with Bruce Hornsby, Back in the day, it's not your imagination. Music was frequency cycling at 432.
Yep.
They extorted it on purpose because they know the sacred geometry of the Sizzle. So they moved it to 440 on purpose so that you didn't get the benefit anymore of what happens with frequency. We could go on that all day long.
Sure.
Wow. So 1963, David Todd's.
Yeah, David
That'll
Todd.
have to be like our new podcast.
David Todd. There you go.
That's so funny.
Hey, I know we want to talk about Tartaria,
yes.
But
no, you please.
No, I'm happy to talk about anything.
Okay.
But I'm really excited. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept in 3 years, and I haven't slept at all in the last 2 months because I just released on my app.
Good. Yeah. Talk about this.
A new feature. My app is called the Flat. It's a long name. It's horrible, but there's a reason, a method behind the madness. The
Can't forget it once you know it, though.
Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, right? And because with all the censorship, you can't find anything on it. So the app really brings that to you. So I'll just, for those of you that don't know what it is, I'll show real quick. Let me just move this out of the way. Can you see the whole screen? We good? Pretty much.
Yes, I can. And I wanted to let you know that I'm
There you
here.
go. Nice. So
Okay.
right now we're just coming out of a new moon. So you can see that the moon is behind the sun. If I speed it up, the moon will start lagging. Excuse me. It'll start lagging behind the sun and growing. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. The sun keeps track of the hours and days. Wherever the sun is noon, right? And this is how our world works. Most of you guys know this. And if
I wouldn't assume that.
Okay.
Don't give those disclaimers, Dave, because honestly, some people intellectually know something and others have gone all the way to emotionally embracing. Right. And I think repetition is the key here.
So I don't know if you can notice, or if you wait long enough, you'll see right now the sun is spiraling outwards. It's heading towards that yellow line. It's as it goes around for the year, it goes out to the yellow line, which is the Tropic of Capricorn, and it goes to the inner line, which is the Tropic of Cancer. Inner line, June, outer line is December. So let me slow it down. And I turn on the stars spin around just like the sun and the moon. The sun is going much faster than the moon, but the stars are only going a little faster than the sun. So it takes 365 revolutions for the stars to make one full lap on the sun. So right now, the sun was in Leo last month. It outran the sun, and now the sun is in, what is this, Virgo? I forget my symbols. And
I think so.
Next month it'll be in this constellation. Next month it'll be in Capricorn, and you'll see that's how the sun remains in all of the tropics. So the app for people that are looking into flat Earth, every day there's what time is it? Oh, my video didn't update today. Very interesting. I'll have to do that next. There's a new video every day on the bottom left, and you tap that and it'll teach you something new about flat Earth. And then the archive button next to it, well, in case you missed a video, it'll be there. It'll show you every video that's by month for the last 3 years. If you have a question about flat Earth, you're like, hey, Dave, how do eclipses work? Or, what about gravity? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? Like if I hit ships over the horizon, up comes a playlist of videos that YouTube doesn't want to serve you, right? That'll show you how and why you see ships go over the horizon when you do, and how to go out and do an experiment yourself so you don't just believe a YouTube video. So, right. So again, this is it's the best. Go ahead.
Yeah, you've done 1 million hours worth of research, compiled electronically, gotten everything out to in a way that allows us to access it as if for $2.99. I mean, oh my God, right? I mean, like right. This coffee at Starbucks would be like what, $55 or something? I don't know. Right. I don't go to Starbucks. I go to freaking Speedway, like truck stops, and I'm a chemist and I make the same damn thing. But that's right. Just me because I love money. I love keeping it.
I'm having a little. This is a test version I have on here, but you have all these images that you can pull up at a glance when it works. Let's see that one. Yeah. And so when you're trying to explain...
I just wanted to mention right there, that particular one where we're hauling ass like a Dyson vacuum cleaner just being sucked by a semi that down the road. Yeah. Come on, guys. I just want to mention this. When we were kids, and nobody lied, trust me, I know this for sure. All of us were pretty much clear that our star was sitting just so peaceful, and there were these planets that were going around in kind of the slow thing, that we weren't hauling ass at millions of miles an hour with our hair flown back, and that we were barely hanging on by our fingernails by the surface. You can't tell me that you were ever taught that in school about the speed, and you have to ask yourself why. Okay, so that that is absolutely an extorted, swindled narrative on purpose. And then you have to ask yourself why again. This is the thing that happens. And Dave, I've heard you say this. It's easy. It's easy to swindle people, but it's very difficult to grab the swindle back from them. And you'll see that in Walmart for 10 years from now. There'll still be women wearing masks because this was their go time, and they still are afraid of the invisible boogeyman they were told about.
People are wearing masks because other people are wearing masks, and people are wearing masks because they believe the nonsense. So
you can't the white knuckle. No matter, and so that is inherent in all of us. And I know it's fear, guys, but trust me, when the student's ready, the master mysteriously appears in all things at all times. And you will, if you're even listening to this, or you end up listening to this, or somebody shares this with you, trust me, it will ring a bell, and the pebble will cause the ripple. We all are going to go together beautifully. So here we go, Dave. The David Todds are here for you. Okay.
Right. The app does all sorts of stuff, shows you how the real trade winds look. They don't do a crazy sine wave. They make patterns just like this going around the flat earth. So the big thing, though, that I added on here, the people like, who is it? The scientist guy said there's no one believes that there's really flat. No, there aren't any flat earthers. Who Brian Cox said that, who I call lying box. He said nobody believes the earth is flat. That's not true. The flat earth is the deception of the globe is less than 100 years old. And we can get into that if people don't know. But
I'm surprised at how recently the biggest, it would seem like the biggest hopelessness feeling would come over one when they realized that 1834, early 1820s, right in that zone was this horrific
1930s, they were still teaching flat earth everywhere.
Right. No, I'm talking about the reset when they destroyed everything and they began to repopulate on purpose with their own Rockefeller guys, Rockefeller's was the only one that could print educational materials for the last 100 years.
It was a Jesse Ventura episode from 1990 or something. They had Dr. Rima. I forget who it was. It was a heavy-set scientist woman, and she told a story where she was somewhere where it's elite were, and someone said to her, "It's almost time for the reset." And she said, "What do you mean?" "It's almost time for the culling," she said. Right?
For the culling is an interesting word.
Yeah, the culling. And she goes, every certain period of time, they cull the population. I showed that graphic before, 1620, 1720, 1820, 1920.
When we get to a collective tipping point, it's much in the same reasons why they would do a treaty where you get arrested if you go beneath 60 South with more fuel.
Those of you that are like, well, what does this all matter? It matters. If you don't want to be culled, pay attention and wake up. So people say, flat earth is dying. There's no flat earthers. Well, here's a new feature. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you only 6%. The number of flat earthers that have my app, the percentage, I think is less than 1% of all the flat earthers in the world have my app. Okay. That's even aggressive. It might even be less. It's less than 1%. And out of the number of people that have my app, only 6% of them have tried this new feature, the Handshake, which is to find other flat earthers near you. These are the flat earthers that have signed up so far.
Good. And this is your brand new feature, so we can find each other when we're in proximity and say, "Hey, what's up?"
And as you zoom in, you'll see that these dots keep separating, and there's more dots on top of more dots. Right? And let's take a look at Europe. So if we go over to Europe, there's people everywhere. And when you zoom in, you'll see that there's even more. Right. And you can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. And then they'll say, hey, let's say I was one of these dots. I'm near another dot. I can click the dot and I could send them a message. I can text them.
Right. You want to grab a beer? Yeah. I'm over here. Yeah.
So boom. And I send them an instant message. He gets a notification. He'll probably reply back. And also you can do a thing like you say, hey, show me everybody within 50 kilometers. And then I zoom out and I could see that there's 54 people within 50 kilometers. And then soon I'll be able to tap that 54 in the upper left and send them all a group message like, hey, we're having a meetup tomorrow at so-and-so at this address. Bam.
Yeah, whoever can go.
And then that way you can communicate with people that are near you.
Yeah. Hey, I want to get this out because I keep forgetting that I wanted to say for people for proof about my huge steep ramp of like unprecedented as always. And I'm not trying to be humble because I'm not. I think it's futile. That my hunger for learning, literally, I'm sizzling at a vibration that I'm receiving all kinds of stuff from. Like the pressing influence of the light will utilize every active available agent within the vicinity all the time. So once you set yourself open to and to not resist, I feel like the natural baseline is all this information is going to flood to humankind. With that being said, your whole thing about the sun with the vortice with the honeycomb and just hauling ass through space, I used that before I got hip to you in a music video called Black Hole, which I wrote, which I sound like Willie Nelson on purpose on it because I'm a singer. And that shows you the arc of how quickly, and that was just released like last year, shows you how quickly I have advanced. Because then at that time, honestly, I was very knowing, I thought that we're planet Earth, because I, like everybody else, love the fascination and the imagination of Star Trek, of all the big movies, of all
Sure.
the numbers and how fast things are moving. And I was just fascinated by it. And so obviously I made a video, even so much so, an original song called Black Hole. So you guys, please know that I have my own arc. I'm under construction. I'm still learning. But the most important thing, don't close your mind. Stay open and available to hear us, Okay.
Right. So I'm just showing that these are people all over the place. Only 6% of the users have logged on so far to place their dot on the map. And it's very exciting. People are meeting up together. So we are powerful beings. You're a brave guy. You're out there talking truth. I do what I can do, and I'm pretty brave. But when I have somebody else with me, a wingman, I'm 10 times, 100 times more brave, and you're willing to do more things. Well, imagine you get a local group, bring them together. Like we have Flattoberfest, which is where are you located?
I'm in Lexington, Kentucky.
All right, so down in not that far.
You guys,
South Carolina.
In October, we're planning on going.
Oh, you are going? Awesome. So South Carolina.
I'm going to bring like a posse.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And there's so many people going. I think it's going to be the biggest one yet. It's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like-minded, awake people. 2-day conference and music festival. It's going to be phenomenal. Everyone's going to have a great time. We got some surprises going on. And if you want to learn about it, you can just go in the app, just hit the shopping cart button, and one of the placards there is for Flattoberfest or just flatearthfestivals.com, flatearthfestivals.com.
I'm glad that you had that information out there because honestly, and I'm a very good researcher and stuff like that, I found it a little bit difficult. I ended up I think in Dallas, down in Texas for the last one.
Yep.
And the fresh stuff wasn't coming up for this one. And I was having difficulty finding the location. I saw the old ticket prices. I did not see links to the new. So great. So we've got that here, which is fantastic.
So on the app, just so you know, a lot of people have the app. Just click the shopping cart, which happens to be the top left on mine, bottom center, Flattoberfest. Tap it again, and up comes the website. So it's October 23rd and 24th. Make your hotel or arrangements for staying now, and
our motorhome or tour
bus. Motorhomes, fantastic.
You guys can
be a party
over to our
starting.
Tour bus.
Yeah, I'm getting there on Thursday, and then I'm leaving on Monday. So it's going to be an amazing time of fellowship.
I'm going to text Dave and say, Dave, come over to the tour bus. Let's do a little thing.
All right. And I can't imagine all of the blue dots converging on South Carolina. All of them converging.
You couldn't make them red dots. You had to go blue.
The blue pills. I was thinking of the tiny, we're a pale blue dot. I was doing it in the honor of Carl Sagan, the shill.
And I was going like Democrats, Republican, I don't know, whatever. Okay.
And that also, wow.
Look at him now. Listen, I can see your head now.
I'm like, oh man. Maybe I should make people register. Are they Democrat or Republican? And then that's the color of their dot.
I think we're going to know once they register which that they are.
Pretty much.
How that
the other thing about this, the other thing about the app, which is super powerful, is you're going to find people that are near you. A lot of people say, I'm a flat earther. It's so lonely. I can't really talk to anybody. Well, boom, you just found someone in your own town, right? My best friend, he found me because of flat earth. He literally called me up. He goes, hey, I live in your same town. Meet me at the little pub. And we went down there, and now we literally vacation together. Okay?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So finding, like, if you tap a dot near you and just send a message like, hey, so-and-so, boom, boom, and you start a dialogue, you have more in common with that person than any dating site, any going out to a bar or party, random meeting somebody will ever give you.
Right. Because it's not about flat earth. It's you know what, words suffer when it comes to the expression of the sizzled. I love the word sizzle for some reason. I don't know why I chose it, but there is yes, I do, because the vibration frequency of that which you're made, which is like mostly water, begins to do the harmonic thing for the exact same reason why they knew that it was a conduit to aid and help and heal before. And that which you've been lingering on in stagnated breath, looking at your big flat screen, that's very beautiful to have, even in your trailer, not to disparage trailer parks, but they made it so affordable so that they had to make sure that everybody could afford their programming, which if you've never thought about it, that was on purpose. And that the sheer if you can just take a pause even for a moment, like say that you're going to determine not that we're right or wrong, but you're just going to give yourself, just take a pause and then just start to feel your way through this. When you start to feel your way, you get this sizzle, this increased vibration, this excitement, this, like you say, Dave, it's like you become that divine spark. It's like these vaccines, and we found out that AstraZeneca means to kill the stars. It's like, and up in that proportion of that soft membrane of your thing, those swabs were intended to start coming in between the bridge between you and inspired and the divine. Do not implicate your system, your whole biological and then more spiritual being by subjecting yourself and your children to something that is meant to intentionally subjugate you and separate you forever from your divine spark. And that is why we're here. It's not just an app to find each other and have a beer. It's about what happens there was an old thing that happened on this island way back when this ship crashed and they were carrying yams. I forget when and where it was, but the indigenous monkeys on an island nearby began to use the undulating current of this washed up yams to wash the sand off. And when 100 of them actually began to monkey see, monkey doing it, monkeys all over Earth automatically, exponentially, telepathically got it and began doing it without ever seeing the others do it. And there is a power in number of the collective. Yes.
Very good.
And that's where we go.
David, is this streaming live somewhere other than your YouTube channel? Because it's not on your YouTube channel.
No, it's not.
Okay. It's somewhere else. Oh, it's not streaming live.
It's not streaming live.
All right. No worries. I thought we were live. No worries.
But I'm going to place it in numerous things that I have. I have about 2.1 million followers over all the social media spectrums. And I kind of got inspired while we're sitting here. I'm thinking that now that I would like to write a new song and put in these, like the Fool on the Hill and, the Beatles. I like to do something fresh with this in mind, with this new inspiration. That would be my muse anyway. So
nice. Where do you want to go from here? You wanted to talk about Tataria?
I wanted to talk about something on the show, the app where we have the live sun and its cycle right now. We know that the sun is completely, I want to talk about, because these would be the questions that people on a certain level would be asking, just to get more of an organic feel about when they look up at the sky. And I want to preface it with this. We do a 4-mile run walk around the farm every day that it's not raining. And we keep ourselves in super tip-top shape. We do sprints, we do all this stuff so we can chase our horses, you know. And so doing, we've been, since you pointed it out, looking at the physical sun in our sky and the moon in this recent phase when it was waning. And as it got, then I said to my manager, I said, look, we see at 45 degrees the sun in our daylight sky, and the moon is right there waxing. They're right in the same sky right above us. There's no way the earth could be casting a shadow in the heliocentric model. And everybody that was around went, holy shit, you know? And I'm like, you guys start understanding what you're seeing. So my question is this. Is the sun, I know that you have said, and I'm so far haven't just gone further with, I think, than what your cognitive or what the sun and the moon are made of or designed, but in location wise, say under this vault, which by the way was the original word used for firmament in the old Bible, under this vault or water vault, do you think that the if it's not being refracted through that water, and that it's a pinpoint like that magnifying glass that you were talking about, if it's not that, is it at least above, do we think, this what we call the moon as far as elevation? Under, we'll call it the dome.
So picture this. I'm going to show you a video and we're going to go through it. Let's say you're holding an apple and an orange. I'm holding the apple full length out in front of me, and I'm holding the orange closer to my face. Okay. So now I'm looking in the mirror, and in the mirror, the apple is farther. It's reversed, right? There's more. It's like I see orange apple, and then in the mirror I see orange apple reversed. Okay.
Right.
So which one's in front of which one? So in the app here, I'm going to go to the frequently asked questions question mark. And I'm going to pull up what about eclipses? And I'm going to go to this video right here. Make that bigger. Smith, I'm not signed in. Play. Oh, that's as big as we'll go like that. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
So this is something I did. So on the right is an eclipse I filmed. The sky was a little chemmy that day. And on the left is a eclipse that I created using a paper towel, a projector, and a bottle cap, which I'm blocking the projector with. Okay. And that's what I claim. That's what I theorize is what we're actually seeing. The sun is being projected from within or above the firmament, and it's being projected into what I call our sky screen. It's just being projected to a focal point in the sky. So
if so, is that crescent that we see that's stationary that you're referring to, would that be the reflection off the top of the?
Nope. So let me explain. So as I watch this, you see that the sun looks like a big ball, but it's because it's just so bright, it's blowing out the lens. The sun is about eclipses as much as both of these things. And like one of them is clearly a lens flare, but the other one is locked into position. This one is locked into position. So it's not a lens flare. And that's how much of the eclipse is going on. Like if I put sunglasses on, you'd see it. But this is just, as it shows here, is blowing out the lens. So I'm like, why am I seeing something that looks just like the eclipse? We couldn't figure it out. And I say, that's the projector. That's the real source of the sun outside of the firmament, projecting the sun that we see. That's the sun that we see is the sun that we see, So
right.
no one has ever seen, pause this, no one has ever seen during a solar eclipse, the moon approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or leave the face of the sun. Once the eclipse is over, it's gone. Nobody from the International Fake Station, nobody from a high altitude airplane, nobody with a telescope, infrared, nothing, no lens.
Which would mean that those sources would be outside.
It's because I don't believe that there's no moon. The moon has no light during an eclipse, so it's not being projected into our reality. See, this is the projector. I'm showing you the moon, and you don't see the moon from our point of view. But if you can look behind the sky, maybe you would see the moon or whatever it is that's eclipsing the sun. I think it's the moon. Maybe it's a dark body. I don't know. So this is the eclipse. Now, I said, okay, what if I made the sky a little more transparent? So I went from a paper towel to toilet paper, which is a little more transparent, like our sky screen.
Opaque.
Yeah. And then watch what happens when I did the exact same experiment. So here's my projection. Here's the sun that we see. Here's the sun, the source of the sun. The eclipse is coming in. Look, bam, same thing. That's the source. The arrow is pointing to the source. This is the sun that we see. Compare it to a real eclipse. It's the same thing.
It's phenomenal. And in that, I like to grab the bits of stuff that really ring the bell for me, as well as the true in the exact same position of the strongest truth, which is in that, likened unto, and I love this because we were in Vegas and stuff, and we were laying out by the pool, like on top of Planet Hollywood. And the sun went behind a local casino. And so we moved to this side of the pool and we started getting tan, and we did off the beam of light coming off the mirrored window from the other hotel.
That's what happened to me. You've heard me say that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And
I pay attention, David. I get attention to what's going on.
So I always I was like, that really made me realize that
electricity.
Electricity, absolutely. But that I reflect, I'm like, if the sun is being projected, how could it be so damn hot? And just like the magnifying glass, is projecting the sun into a little dot, just like the sun was reflecting off of that hotel, it was just as hot as the sun that was on the other side of my face. The sun that we see, both of them, in my opinions, are reflections or projections, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and watch this. I love to pair this information succinctly, concisely, in the Cliff Notes version to everything, all the other information that you've discovered. We also have a test at night with the full moon showing that in the shadow, it's warmer than when you're under moonlight. It's cooler. Okay.
Yeah. So
this alleged visiting landing on the moon, that if so, it would have been like 4 million lumens bright, that there would have not only not been a shadow up there for us to film, but basically retinas would have been fried, and who knows what else would have happened. And
this camera shot from NASA was the moon transiting the Earth. Well, that would be a full moon. Why isn't it lit up? That looks like what a rock would look like with some light on it. Okay. I'm not saying that the moon is a rock, because it definitely is not. And it's not projecting light. That should be the brightest. That moon should be so bright that it should blind the camera, but it doesn't. So
I believe when I heard at the end of the EWAR 5-hour deal about the true hidden history, whatever, of flat Earth, which was so much more than just that, but is it? I mean, maybe not, because it's all the same thing. It's a lie. And so they're trying to unveil it and bring it to us. Where was I going with that? Sometimes I'll go into a thing. I'm
the
gonna
moon,
let you go
the brightness
back.
of the moon.
He was that with Trump and the military and these military commands, and I have a couple colonels because we did it inauguration thing and manage artists, and up to this last one, they said the military band said that they went to a rehearsal at the Capitol. Then there was a emergency, like there was some kind of fire under a bridge. They found out from they call it a homeless camp under there, caught on fire, but it was actually they said that they never did return to that Capitol, and they never did perform for the 2020 inauguration at all. And so I love that as a sign of hope, like, okay, there's something else going on. And in that, where was I going with that? I forgot where I was going with that. That they said, watch the water, with the hopes of the Patriot Party and the things that we've been following in human type, not in these esoteric, or not esoteric, but in these other discoveries about where we are, but about this election, and primarily trying to make sure that people realize what was going on. And that they kept saying, watch the water will be your sign. And then when I saw the end of the EWAR thing, and the reflection in the pond showed the moon, and that the odds of the moon in the water showing the landmass in a picture. Now, Lemuria was in there, but whatever silver nitrate phenomena happened that captured the, I mean, we're talking about the Suez Canal is in there, the islands are in there, the Great Lakes are in there, the outlines of everything going over to New Zealand, Australia, Japan, coming up all the way around. And then there's this extra.
Right. This is the known world is within this circle. I just kind
of like served it up for you.
This is the known world here. And our North Pole is here, and our sun circles our North Pole. So, excuse me. So it has melted out our world, right? So this is the shoreline, the ice wall, the ice shoreline of Antarctica, right? So everything outside of this line is the unknown world. Well, this is what he theorizes, and I like it. And the old world clocks, the one in
we know our known advertised North Pole has been on the move. Even MSM follows that. There's nobody that's denying that it's on the move, and it's on the move around.
The clock in Prague is literally this clock, right? Yeah. The ancient world clock. So
the cross,
So if this is moving, this North Pole makes a great circle, which is like 25,000 some odd years.
920. It's 2,160 years every 30 degrees. 30 degrees every 2,160 years.
30 degrees or 15 degrees? It's 30. It's 30 degrees. You're right. 30 degrees. Right.
I'm paying attention.
No, you are. I said 15 a couple times in interviews.
I've got a photographic memory.
Yeah. So it moves. So in when it's halfway through the cycle, North Pole will be here. This will be our known world, and everything outside of that will be Ice Age. Well, that makes sense. Go look at Antarctica. Go look at, where are all of these old buildings coming from? And think about this. An Ice Age builds up for years. And then when the Ice Age melts, you got a muddy situation. Okay. Maybe there's a flood involved. Who knows? But this is what I think is, this is our known world. And the elite, now the elite are all moving to New Zealand. So I think that we're traveling this way. I think that the pottle is going. That's what I was
going to ask you, because I
think they're going.
Locations. Yeah. There's real estate agents in the know.
Yeah.
And it would behoove
whatever islands these are, this is where you want to live.
That's a go time. Well, and also around that true north, which our pole will be going around, that in that Tropic of Cancer, and then in the point that is our melted pond up there, as we found out that there's a couple explorers that went up to the North Pole, and the true Eskimos at the time said that, and this goes along with yours, everything matches, or I wouldn't bring it up, that they look to the sky to discover what they would be they would be passing through to see if it was passable. They looked to the angular what you call the vanishing point or something up in that horizon point at a certain point, like that floating ship that's really not floating. You're not seeing it because it becomes, like, say, calm water or whatever. It just becomes a mirror for the sky above. And where I was going to go there was, then, David, wouldn't there be, thank you. I love your PowerPoints. You're just so fast. You got the big tabs open everywhere. I love it. But in that we're just looking at, which is all of the Antarctic pond land that no, more than that. And then the land that's still under ice that we'll be migrating to in half of 25,920, which was 12,000 something years, that in that circle, there has to be a sweet spot. And I think that somebody at some point was calling that hyperborea, where I'm thinking that I'm thinking that people never move. It's like they've got, why would they? Because it's always Shangri-La there, like the Garden of Eden type thing.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know what we're talking, or forget the name, or can't find it because it keeps disappearing, in the app, hit the web button, center, Lost History of Flat Earth. Click that puppy. Up comes the one you're talking about, the 5-hour one, and then a whole nother series. And some of the series is missing because it's not YouTube friendly. Just if it jumps from one to the next one, look at the description, and it'll have links to another platform where you can see those missing episodes. So they're all there. When
that's nice that you broke it down for them like that.
Yeah,
because it can get to it, but I would recommend watching it if you must go away because your life is busy and you have to work or whatever, or you have kids or whatever, or the power goes out. Please just pause it and just keep going, because there is a systematic
there's 7 chapters
in it. Yeah.
There's 7 chapters in the 5-hour one. So just watch one chapter at a time. I'm just saying this facetiously because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
It's like crack. Yeah.
So 40 minutes. It's all 20 minutes. They're different lengths. One of them's an hour or whatever. So just say, all right, just watch one at a time every day for 7 days, and you'll get it done. And this is what will happen. For me, I was like, my videos, if I put out a 5-minute video, everyone accuses me of making a documentary because my videos are short, right? Because I understand, and I listen to the thing at double time. This one, I listen to at regular time. And I started it at like 11 o'clock at night as I'm just going to watch 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I had it on double speed. I slowed it down to regular speed, and I wasn't done until 4 a.m. So don't start it late at night because you will not be able to turn it off. Okay?
Yeah, but check this out, and that's a really good point. How many of you know that if you can't get to sleep, say on a tour bus on I-40 going through Oklahoma, on the old Route 66, that all you have to do is pick up a book. If your body is actually physically exhausted and you start to read, basically it puts you right out.
That's my problem.
Not this stuff. This stuff. This stuff will energize you while you're viewing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's a reason for
well
that
done.
because it's jogging the latent knowing, the haunted thing, the haunted refrain. It's going to that God spark knowing in you that's going, wake up. You set this alarm clock. You said that you need, if you ever fell into sleep, sheeple, we're going to write a new song called Sheeple Who Need Peepholes. And that's going to be nice because I used to work with Streisand. Yeah.
Nice. Here's the other thing is, if you ever I think that the Flat Earth Awakening cures depression. I think that depression is when your soul is separated from your mind because your mind has been captured with television and all of the nonsense in the world, and you can no longer hear your soul speaking to you, or you've lost control of your soul because you spun out of control in many different ways. That's when
wait. I want to add in right there. And that's true. And that's absolutely fact. And also why, and we've discovered this, and I followed this down, that abundance rides on the intended breath, the big exhalation, and this thing, because two thoughts can't reside in the same vicinity at the location at the same time. That's why shamans and monks and gurus from the past use breathing techniques to tap into their complete unlimitedness. It wasn't the breathing itself as the exercise, it's the fact that the breathing, intending breathing, means that all the thoughts you would have been thinking within this space, you're not. And because if you just stop thinking everything else that you normally are thinking, you go back to this powerful, abundant place. And they've been trying to keep us from that by distracting us with all this crap and chasing our tail. And literally chasing our tail through freaking space in our imaginations, right? So
100%.
yeah, yeah.
So I was saying depression, and the example I use is Neo from the Matrix. At the beginning, look at Neo, and he's depressed, he's sleeping, something's wrong with the world. His mind is still plugged into the nonsense, and his soul is trying to wake him up. And so he listens to his soul, and he frees his mind from the Matrix. And at the end of the movie, look at the Neo. He's taken his power back. He realized who he is, where he is, what he is, the power of his mind, and he's no longer depressed. Well, I think that, there's many world situations, but they all stem from being lost in space, not knowing who you are, not knowing where you are, having your life situation suck because of that.
Right. And there's a universal codicil someplace, somehow, that even the elite have to hold to the charter of all kind, and they call it God, and that they must inform you in some way, even though they go ahead and do it to you. And that's how they use Hollywood. They'll paint it in a picture so you can say, oh no, there's nothing truth to that. That was part of that movie you're thinking of. They do that on purpose. They reverse, but they display it in a mocking way.
They always tell us what they're doing. Always 100 times.
Yeah.
They tell us. And then if we're too stupid to see it and we don't say no, people go, well, what difference does it make? I have to go to work and play with that Monopoly to get more of that Monopoly money. That's the PSYOP. The PSYOP is that you have no power, that you can't do anything, and that the truth is that you have all the power.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So just in case people, when they watch this, I want you to take this to heart and begin to be at least cognitively aware of it when you're looking at your smart devices, which is very ironic, hardly ever utilized. You're in stagnated breath most of the time that you're checking on things, whether you've gone viral, how many people hate you, how many people like you, surfing around, going to endless things, keep sweeping right, keep hoping that this is going to be your defining moment. Hopefully this will be your aha moment. But in that, what you're not doing is the easy, big, intended breathing, and abundance only rides on the natural breath. And so they've extorted you once again, not only with what you're looking at, but your actual mechanism of your breathing is in a while you're doing it all day long. So put it down. Okay. Or pick up, Dave, and watch this stuff.
And they've muzzled you too. They've also...
Yeah, and now you're CO2ing it. So now you don't even have a fresh source. Yeah.
Right, it's unreal. The fact that people can't see this is mind-blowing. That's the most mind-blowing thing. Flat Earth, easy. That's easy. The deception, easy. It's that people can't see it, how brainwashed they are. And when you try to expose them, show them the truth, they attack you. And it's because they got everyone into such a situation, so deep into the matrix, that their lives, even if they thought they were doing pretty good, really in the true context of what this world should be, suck. Their lives suck. So now they're in this CV world, and all this stuff is happening. And if you try to break that, their subconscious is like, well, then I have to go back to my crappy life, and then they attack the person.
Yeah, they've attached it to, over time, they've attached it to also the people that were their guardians and their caretakers and their parents that kept them out of harm's way in an impressionable time. And unconsciously and maybe unintentionally, a lot of us, and it was natural, picked up the lazy, extorted, boogeyman, fear-mongering type thing of the people that were asleep that raised us, and we adopted their inevitables, which were very limited. You'll see a generation say, well, my grandmother went that way, I'll probably go that way too. My mother had breast cancer, I'll probably get it too. But you wouldn't have to if you hadn't decided that your inevitable was somebody else's. And in that, people begin to attach their ego, altered ego, away from God. They begin looking at the out and attaching their egos to it. So when you try to wrestle them back from it, go, wait a second, there's so much more. And you're trying to, it's like you can't create for somebody else, no matter how much you want to save a young, say I went through drugs and alcohol with Stevie Nicks. I did. And everybody else. If I see a teenager heading that same way, you would think as a loving person, I'd go, I want to save you time, trouble, years, and all this stuff. And if you could save all of that heartache, I would love to be there for you. But I swear to God, almost every time they're going to white knuckle it and insist on still going where they need to go until they've had the experience of it and they see the contrast and they feel the release from it. it goes hand in hand with this muzzling, and it's right there, people. If you just actually look at that one Zoom thing alone that guy put together, it wasn't Zoom, but the PIP, there's a story, man named Brady, where they're all like right there, like 60 of them from all countries. They never met each other, and they were all handed the same damn script at 9 a.m. in the morning, go time, cleared for the air, and it was the exact same words.
Television programming.
That's all you need. That's
television programming.
Yeah.
Hey, and I always forget, anybody listening to this that's new to Flat Earth, they're like, hey, this is interesting. If you have an audience, if you have a show, video show, even audio show, have me on. Let's have this discussion with your audience. Let's let them ask questions. Live shows. I love live shows where live shows filled with people that think Flat Earth is the dumbest thing ever. Tell them I'm offering 3 Bitcoins. That's over, it's like 150 grand right now for one proof of the globe. One proof. That's all you got to come up with. One proof of the globe. And it's a lot of fun. You know, it's never argumentative. I just, like, you guys say, hey, what about sunsets? You know, what about seasons? What about this? And I explain how it works, and people go, that's interesting, right? And
yeah,
so
it's provocative, and it gets them to thinking.
It gets people thinking, and I've woken up some pretty big audiences. Most of the SGT audience with Sean, Owen Benjamin. He was, trying to figure it out, and I helped him through it. Lots of big shows. I turned I actually was on Alex Jones InfoWars, turned half the people in their office to Flat Earth, but then Alex must have gotten some sort of phone call, said no more Flat Earth discussion ever, and boom, it's off the table.
Right. Well, I want to make this announcement to your audiences, and that my audiences already know it, well, not all of them, but because of what happened in the most recent election, we found out that the ones that were even rhinos that were in for the block, I've decided to throw my hat in to Kentucky. I'm running for governor of Kentucky. I want to let you know that while that would take a lot of courage and stuff like that, and I'm open for the scrutinization, that it's really more like a moral imperative for the people. And that's how I feel about making sure that people have a but an unlimited access, and they're never restricted again within this jurisdiction. And I don't know how else to do it on anything else, but I know that I'm willing to take hey, if I don't win, which I will, if I don't win, it's going to be some great speeches. But I know everything. I began campaigning. Yeah, I began campaigning with Gary J. Byrne in 2016, just to expose Hillary, because he was the UD officer outside the Oval Office for all 8 years of the Clinton admin, and he wrote a book about her. And so I knew all of the fact pattern trail, and I didn't know about this Trump, honestly, but I just knew to dodge a bullet, anything but that. And that's how this whole thing began in my eyes, and then it started leading like to all these places,
Amazing.
But I can't wait for the thing in October with you guys, and it's that's really going to be fun.
FlatEarthFestivals.com. Check that out.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a blast. Do you have a place to stay already?
We're on the tour bus.
Oh, you're on tour bus. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah. I told you.
Tour bus is going to be great. It's going to be phenomenal. You're going to have such a good time. It's going to be great.
Yeah. We've got all of our recording studio and everything in our studios on the bus as well. So I just wanted to get to, I don't know about time. You'll let me know, but I just have a couple more things.
Go.
So
we need to wrap it up pretty soon. So go ahead, finish up.
Okay. So just one thing is back to this. We know that when I look at the moon and the sun, when they're getting close, because they're coming, that the sun overtakes the moon, is traveling faster. The stars are moving faster than the sun's moving faster than the moon. And that illumination about the portion that it is from our perspective seems to appear. I know you've got the 4 thing about, well, is the moon really a sphere? But I'm talking about the light of what would appear to be our star or our sun. that it is illuminating in a way that wouldn't make it flat to me. And that if it's a plasmic projection or something, it seems to be grabbing it as if the sun is behind it in any way, that it wouldn't have that feeling of it coming over a curve of that thing. So I'm just going to leave it there and say what you will. I don't know.
I don't know what the sun and the moon are. I think it has to do with fertility of the earth, of humans. Women's cycles are tied to the phases of the moon. There is a connection there that we cannot see, that we may not even be able to understand. This entire earth, I think that every single thing on this earth was once alive, including rocks.
Have you seen the thing about the giant trees that fossilize in our mountains?
Did I see the thing about the giant trees?
I know that you did.
If you hit here, the second one in, mud fossils, the heart of the earth matter, bring that up. My buddy Mike, watch these. Now, when he first started making these, with the third one down, which is episode 1, Titans, I kind of resisted watching them. Like, that's too much. It's gone too far. And I watched it. I'm like, interesting. Then he came out with 2, and I watched that, and I'm like, oh man. And then I watched 3, and my head exploded. You have to hang in with them, and then you just watch them all, and then you'll realize that nothing that you see is what it is. And this whole world was something completely different. So this playlist, bring food and water. Bring your mind, bring a notepad, whatever it takes.
Take your mask off. So you have plenty of oxygen.
Take your mask off. All of that's bottom right, mud floods.
Right.
Bottom right, you got the mud floods there, and all sorts of resources here. This will keep you busy forever. And you'll never be bored. I started saying that before. Since I discovered the flat earth, there's never been a bored moment. If I have insomnia, I'm like, great, I'm up at 3:00 in the morning. I got 5 hours before I have to talk to anybody. And not that I have insomnia a lot, because I just don't sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when we went to the desert Southwest, which was one of our favorite places, we ended up doing like a casino headlining thing as we go across, and you'll go across Arizona, New Mexico, and you'll see some of those tabletop rock plateaus, like the old Marlboro ads and stuff, where you see those flat top, and the Devil's Tower, by the way, those that are fans of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's a fossilized tree stump. Now, my question is, what the hell type of machine cut those trees down?
So,
and how about this? Where did the rest of the tree go?
Right.
That's a provocative question.
Well, here's one for you to consider. Let me just share this. A
little advanced, but
well, it's very, very interesting. Where'd it go? It's right here. Pull this up. Is it a fossilized tree, or is it a mushroom? Oh,
Alice.
Hold on.
We're going down
Alice,
we're
going down another rabbit hole.
I don't know
Alice.
if you can see my artwork here of Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a fun guy.
Oh wow!
Called...
I don't think you've shown that. If you've ever shown that, not recently.
I have not. I actually, my buddy Ian from Europe sent this to me this morning. And if you zoom in, it looks the same. I mean, look at this. This is a mushroom. And then you zoom in the Devil's Tower, and you have the same thing.
It's more than mashed potatoes. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm right now I'm leaning towards this was a fungus that grows off of petrified wood.
Right
so
there.
The question is, how big was the wood that it was?
Was a tree?
Yeah. So this is nothing. This is a mushroom that's growing off the base of a tree.
Okay. So I'm going to jump here. I'm going to jump real fast because I know you talked about time. I just want to get to this. I want to go to the GoPro fast rocket and stuff, and the viscous, say the firmament, the closest part of it. in that 73 miles where they logged, and by the way, that one guy that you had on, and I know that after the fact, hopefully they watch back and then they finally get stuff. But I'm like, really, it's right there before you. Because he was like, well, it shows a curved earth right there. And it's like, dude, let's just peel this back one onion at a time. Okay. That day on Earth is a full moon over Australia. Okay. So you can't see it in New Mexico or Arizona at the same time. That should cut you out. The other thing is, more importantly, as to say, if we were just to just kind of like spitball what the possible, not to put a number on it, the actual height of the tallest the highest elevation of inside this dome, if a dome or if flat, whatever, viscous layer, if it's 73 miles over New Mexico-ish, and those one explorer saw it coming down at 13 miles down in Antarctica.
In Antarctica at 85 degrees south, right? So I think it's not.
Right. You see how I
like
tie
an
those
upside
together?
down dinner plate rather than an upside down salad bowl. Okay. I think that the sky is more like an upside down dinner plate rather than an upside down salad bowl. And is it solid? Is it just
it curves,
viscous?
it flattens out.
Is it something else that has attraction? Like it has a positive charge? Do things fall upwards when you're near it? You know, do things fall towards it because of
go the other way?
Yeah, like how could it have water? Well, maybe at that height it holds things up. Maybe NASA has figured out that they can send things up there and they stick. You know, and
right. There'll be a certain point where there's a tipping point, and then there's no that it has its own upward force coming the other way.
Well, that's if there's a force. So many people say buoyancy and density. Buoyancy and density do the bulk of the work. I think that the Earth has a measurable, testable negative charge. You know, Zach, Good Times for All, he did an experiment where he had a helium balloon tied to a little button, and the button was had a wire to it that went to his Van der Graaf generator, and it was just floating like, you know, a couple inches above the floor. Then he cranked up the Van der Graaf generator, which put a stronger negative charge into it. Boom, it got heavier. Why did it get heavier? Just because it changed its negative charge. So your charge potential in the air determines your mass and your attraction to the ground. And so a heavier mass falls harder than a helium balloon, which doesn't have that. Right. So it's getting boosted up by the air pressure below it.
Absolutely. And we go to our Tesla thing. Of course, he was snuffed out because the power companies couldn't make money. They didn't want that free coming back out. Back in the day, I don't know if you know that John G. Trump was around that time as well, around Tesla, which is like, what? But with that being said, and the Tartarian architecture of predominance with these cathedrals that were built that were actually healing centers, and the height on purpose and the way that they would collect from that ether at that height. What do you think as far as like being able to do a negative on negative, say the downward negative charge of the Earth? If we had a like, have you ever seen the proximity wingsuit divers?
No, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Have those. Well, what if they had magnets on them at any point from where they're going that were of the reverse polarity? Would they stay up as long as they wanted to?
I don't think so.
Knowing this ether.
Again, it's called I'm losing my words. That it's an incohesive or incongruent force where you can have a ball of magnets where all the positives and negatives are mixed up, and it'll attract a negative magnet and a positive magnet. It doesn't repulse. So
that pin thing that you did where you just merely turned it, and then, or was that you or somebody else? I think that was John Levi. But yes, I get that. There's a third force going on here.
Yeah, so I don't.
Or negative and positive are attracting.
Right. That's it's called it. I think it's called an incongruent magnetism or force. I gotta refresh my memory on that one.
The laws of attraction are greater than we were told. Well, I can feel you from here, and I don't want to, and I don't want to, strain something out and make it. This has been phenomenal, everybody. Really, and I mean, I don't know your story of your parents or your family or anything, but I want to let people know that with not only this election, but with the boogeyman of viruses and the pandemics, that you've probably lost a lot of friends, not you, but that the universal use that. Yeah. Well, I could tell, and I'm alluding that we have what would be considered lost, but when you intend the vibration of that which you're made, others just don't remain as fit as you, and they can't join you on the journey. So
it's all right. They're on. Please, everyone's on their journey.
Don't try to fix it. Yeah, don't try to fix it. You
will attract people that are on your wavelength.
Yes, yes. There will be those.
And my
that will
friend finder is helping you actually contact them physically.
I set that up for that very reason. Yes, because let us move from insisting on always noticing broken and missing, and begin to more celebrate and rejoice that which is decided to manifest near us, so that we can be in our pivot point of power and move on from something, as opposed to constantly falling for their fraudulent narrative, always keeping us subdued, distracted, and divided.
Yes.
And with that, that's a great way to end.
Let me just tell a quick thing about the app.
Yeah.
The app's $3, $2.99, one-time charge, and then you have it. If you're unsure about the app, go to the Play Store or the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Read the reviews. Okay, just read the reviews. There's a couple troll comments in there. Just
of course, if like we say in entertainment, if you ain't being sued, you ain't happening.
It's the highest rated app ever. You get the friend finder with it. You do not have to subscribe. There is a subscription that before the friend finder, it did nothing other than get rid of the pop-up. And it was because I wasn't allowed to put a donation button, because people wanted to donate to add, so I could afford to add more features. So I put a subscription button that literally you get a pop-up. It says, would you like to subscribe? You go, no. And it's gone. And it only shows up once a day and there's no ads. So it was pretty unobtrusive. The only reason you have to pay for the app now, the subscription, is if you want to send a text message to somebody. Okay. And I'm going to show you a way around it so you don't have to subscribe. Because the server time, the numbers are going to be 5 figures monthly soon to run this. So it costs money if you want to do that. And so that's why it's $11 for the year. You're buying me a margarita and you're leaving $1 tip. Okay. Right. For once a year.
You cheap bastard. Yeah.
And so,
damn it. So you must be a Democrat. Yeah.
If for some reason, listen, I understand some people literally on a shoestring budget. And I say, if you can't afford $1 a month, you probably shouldn't have a smartphone and you should be focusing on getting your life together a little bit. But I get it. Sometimes you're on your parents' account, your kid, whatever. You don't just like subscription. You don't like using credit cards or Google Play, whatever. If you don't want to subscribe, just make your username your email address.
Right.
Or make a new email address specially for this, right? And that way, if somebody sees an email address, they can tap there. They probably have to type the email address and send you a message like, hey, I saw you on the thing. I'm 2 miles from you. Meet me at the little pub. So there's ways around it all, but I think I made it affordable. I mean, I could have charged $15 a month and people would have paid it. I'm not about that.
You're building an army.
I'm about gathering people together. Because guess what? The way things are going, you're going to need some like-minded friends. And if you don't have any, you better find them soon. Okay.
Absolutely. That's why we came out to a farm that's near a nice sized city, but not in it. Yep. So that, and trust me, we're not necessarily fear-mongering preppers, but you don't want to approach here if you're not invited. And we could last here. We could last here for 2 years off the grid.
Yeah, very good for you.
So we are stocked and ready to go.
Don't tell people that. Just say you're heavily armed.
I'm stocked and ready to go. Bumper stocks.
Yeah.
But and speaking of stocks and cryptocurrencies, and then think about that as well. Keep keep yourself self-sufficient in every which way that you can for you and your loved ones. Take off your mask, take your children out of school if they're being remanded and forced to do things. They don't need to be learning anything else in those classes anyway.
Take your kids out of school anyway.
It's programming. Yeah. So just bring them home, man. Even if they're not going to school, just bring them home.
Bring them home. Just have them listen to, have your high schoolers or college age kids listen to an episode of Crow 777 radio every day. And by the time you can, that's 2 hours a day, and then the rest of the day's off. And by the time they get to the end of his library, they're going to be smarter than any college graduated kid ever.
I was valedictorian of my class in high school. I went on to a full scholarship in college and dropped out at the first year. I was done with that. But since, and in the age of the internet, let me tell you, if there was an IQ test, I'm gonna be through the roof, because I have utilized the tool for how just sucking, just grabbing it out of there, and that's what you guys will be doing once, like David says, once you look at this one video alone and you begin to get that, they'd have to drag you. You'll forget to use the bathroom. You'll forget to eat. You'll be you'll be dehydrated, and you won't
going to the bathroom is such a. It takes me away.
This dude in the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. David, I send you everything I have in the tank, and energy and resolve and light, to you and everybody else that's helped you bring this light forward and your information. I can equally say with full abandonment and a huge comfortability about who I am, that I love you beyond limitation. I'm thankful and grateful that we're in the same incarnation at the same time, born the same year, with the first and middle names matching. I don't think there's any such thing as coincidence, and I'm glad that we found each other. And anything you ever need, just let me know.
Thanks. You can find me at flatearthdave.com if you forget the long name of my app. And just don't let them control your mind with cartoons, because that's what they're doing. So
exactly.
That is it. Thank you, everybody.
That's it. And I love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, David.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
It. Yep. Absolutely.
Bye-bye.